Okay, so in today's video, we are going to take a look at IP routing. That is, we're going to be configuring, static routing. So without wasting time, we need to get started, right? Okay, so in our previous video, we took a look at how to configure firewall, all right? So in this video, we'll be focusing on static routing, okay? So we're quickly going to set up a network topology to get this done, okay? So as you can see, I'm currently on my Cisco Packet Tracer. So we need to come to devices here. We'll pick the 2811, routers. So I'm going to have a setup of network. Okay, let's pick, we need switch for this setup. We need like 3 switches, 3 routers. We have 3 routers here, 3 switches. Then on this network, we'll be connecting end devices. We need like 3 computers. So I'm going to be having 3 computers on each of these networks. So the desktop, and we have 2 desktop, 1 laptop, 2 desktop, 1 laptop. Okay, so this is just a very simple connection. We can decide to add maybe one server for each of these network, right? Okay, so we need to do this connection. Let's create the connection. So I'll be going to connections, and I'll go with I'll be connecting this automatically. So pick from system to switch, from system to the main switch. Then of course I'll connect the server. All right, I need to connect from the router to the switch, and from the switch to system. So you can see the connection is very easy. All you need to do is to pick the type of cable you want to use, and boom, you start connecting. Okay, so this is our first router, this is the second router, and of course we have the main switches. Okay, so we need to add interfaces to these routers, because I want to be using this serial cable, right? So if I hover on this router, you're going to see that we only have 2 ports available, which is pass Ethernet 0/0 and pass Ethernet 0/1, right? And I want to use serial cable. For me to be able to use this serial cable, I need to add serial ports to these routers, all right? So to add a port to the router, you need to just click on the router, and you can see this is the physical mode of this router 0, right? So I need to switch off the router. You can zoom, okay, so that you see everything that we have here. All right, so I need to just zoom. I'll click on the power. Let me zoom in so that you see. If I hover here, if I scroll here, you're going to see this is the power button of this router. All right, for me to add a port on this router, I need to first of all switch off the router. To switch off, I need to just click on this. You can see that green light is gone. Then I'll pick, I'm going to be using WIC2T. All right, so I need 2 serial ports. I'll just click and drag it to this port here. So I've added 2 ports of serial cable, right? Serial port. Then once that is completed, I need to just click on back the switch on the router. So if I click on, if I go to CLI, you can see the router is booting, right? So I'll just allow it to boot. While it is booting, I'll just close this. Then I'll move to the second router and do same. So first you need to, let me zoom in. All right, so this is the power button. I'll just off it. Then I'll pick the WIC2T. This is the serial port. I'm adding it to the router, so I need to just on it, and as you can see under the CLI, this router is currently booting. So I'll close this. I'll do same to the third router. So let me zoom in. I need to scroll to where the power button is of the router. Then I will need to drag in the WIC2T, that is the serial port. Then I'll on the router. All right, so those ports have been added, right? Now next for me to, what I need to do here is to create the serial connection. So I need to come to connections, then we'll go to the serial. You can see if I hover on this, you're going to see we have this is the serial DTE. All right, so I'm going to click on it. Then it will act. I'm going to select, I'm connecting it to serial 0/2/0. All right, then I'll connect to the second router. I'm going to be picking the same port, serial 0/2/0. Okay, that has been connected. I need to connect on the second port, which is serial 0/2/1. Then let's go to the third router and select serial 0/2/0. So you can see I have connected the 3 routers, successfully. Then what I need to do is we need an IP address to be able to achieve this. So this, we are assuming this is a different network. We have 3 network set up here. So I'm going to be using IP addresses to separate them. So I'm going to be typing 192.168.10.0, right, /24. Okay, of course this is a class C IP. All right, so I'll move to the next network. This is going to be .11 network. Okay, this is .10. The next one is .11. The third one is going to be of course 12. Okay, .12.0. Now we need to have we have another network here. This is going to be .13. .13.0. The last one is going to be .14.0. Okay, now on each of these networks we're going to be having the default gateway. I'm going to be setting up the default gateway in each of these networks. So the first, for the .10 network, we're going to be having .10.1 for this router, that is for this interface, that for the internal network of this for the internal interface of this network. Then for this also we'll be having .11.1. 11.1, that is the first IP on this network. We'll be assigning it to the router interface. So this is going to be .12.1. .12.1. Okay, while in this other interface we are going to be having this is .13 network, right? So here will be .13. Let's say 2. Here we'll have .13.3. Okay, on this other interface we'll be having the next one is 14. This is .14.2. while here we'll give it .14.3. 14.3. Okay, so let's drop this. So I'm going to drop this on the switch, while this is for the interface. This on the switch, while .1 on the interface. The main network on the switch, then this will be here. So this interface will take this. This interface will take this, and of course the main network will be here. Okay, so this is just a very simple setup. Now we can assign, of course, IP addresses to these devices, right? So if this is .1, then this one can be, this is 10.1, this one can be 10.2, 10.3, 10.4, then the server can be, of course we can give server maybe 10.2. All right, so but we are not after that for now. What we want to achieve is, you can see this interface. This is, let's hover on this cable. You can see this is fast Ethernet 0/0, right? We need to enable that interface and also assign an IP address to it. Okay, so to do that we need to go to the router. Let's go to the router. Let's do router configuration, right? Okay, so on this router we'll go to CLI. When you come to CLI for the first time, Of course, the router comes with initial configuration. It is asking us if we want to go with it, yes or no. All you need to do is to type no, because we want to configure the router ourselves. Okay, we don't want the default configuration. We are currently on the first router, that is router 0, right? Let me even rename it to, let's say this is going to be our router 1. So I'm going to have router underscore 1. We'll change this one to router underscore 2. Okay, the third router, of course, this is going to be router underscore 3. Okay, while this one will be core, we're going to have core switch 1, core switch underscore 1. This is going to be core switch underscore 2. Okay, this is core switch underscore 3. Okay, so we have router 1, router 2, and router 3. So let's start with the router 1. So I'm currently on the CLI. So I'm currently on user mode. I need to move from user mode, you just need to type in enable, or you can type en, is the same thing. You can see we've moved from user mode to privileged executable mode, right? So on this privileged executable mode, this is the mode where you can, check for command, like you can view properties of this router. For example, if I want to search the version of this router, I want to see the version of this particular device, I can just type in show version, all right, something like that. When I click on show version, it will give me detailed information about this device. As a network admin, it's always advisable, for you to know the device you are communicating with, right? You're expected to know the device that you are currently on, right? So this is giving me the full information about this particular router. You can see after executing this command, you can see lots of information that got to do with this device. Okay, so you can see Cisco iOS software, the version is here. This is 12.4 version, and there are lots of information regarding this router, right? So let's proceed. You can see I'm clicking on enter, and I still have lots of information. Now I want to move from use privileged exec mode to global configuration mode. All I need to do is to type in config T, that is configuration terminal, and I'm currently on the global configuration mode. Okay, one of the goal is we want to add up an IP address to this interface, right? And after checking this interface, we notice that it is FA0/0, right? So I need to enter that interface. The command is int FA0/0. Of course, I'm currently on that interface. So I need to assign an IP address to it by typing IP address. Then I will need to input the IP address 192.168.10.1. Okay, then I will have to add space. Then I need to add up the default subnet mask, which is 255.255.255.0. Okay, so I'll just hit enter. Of course, I need to type no shutdown. No shutdown is just to a command that will turn that interface up. Okay, no shutdown. It's going to turn that interface up. By default, this interface is down, but by typing no shutdown, we're telling it to turn it up. All right, as you can see, when I executed this command, you can see that it has turned from red to green. So I need to have added IP address to that interface. I need to exit from that interface, right? So we are still on the global configuration mode. Now we need to enter this interface that is here, where we need to assign this 13.2. So I need to hover on this cable to actually identify that port. You can see the port is serial 0/2/0, right? So I need to go back to that router and enter that interface. Int SE0/2/0, right? I'm currently in that interface. Now I need to add IP address to it. IP address, okay, 192.168. This is 13.2. Okay, then I'll need to add the subnet mask 255.255.255.0. Okay, then all I need to do is to type no shutdown to turn that interface up. No shutdown. Okay, so you can see that interface is up, but then it's not showing green yet because the other interface on the second router is still down. So the two interfaces need to be up before it will show, the green light. So now I need to have turn on that interface. I need to exit from that interface. Okay, so I think I'm done with this router for now. All I need to do is I need to press exit to move back to the privileged exec mode. Okay, one thing we need to do again is let's go back to that global configuration mode by typing config T. Okay, configuration terminal. Now I want to change this router's name. You can see the default name that came with it is router, right? But on the interface here we are seeing router_1. I want to implement this name on this device. So all I need to type is host name, then of course the name that I want to assign, which is router_1. Okay, so I'll just hit enter. As you can see, the name has changed from router to router_1. Okay, now another thing I want to add up is what we call message of the day. Okay, so we call it banner. I'm going to add banner message here. Banner. Okay, banner MOTD. This is message of the day. MOTD. Okay, then I'll initiate it with an and symbol. MOTD. Then here I need to just add I need to just decorate the text. I'm adding asterisk. Okay. Okay, so the text I want to add up here is something like welcome to router 1. Okay, welcome to router 1. So I'll add something like do not log in if you are not an admin. This is just like a warning. All right, if you are not an admin, do not log in. So I need to take this text to the middle. I'm taking it back. Okay, something like this. All right, so let me put back these asterisk. Then of course I'll add the last two asterisks, right? So we need to end this with the same and symbol that we initiated with. Okay, so I'll hit enter. You can see I'm out of that. Then I need to set a password for this router, right? So what I'll do is I'll go to line con 0. That is line console 0. You can type console in full if you want. Line con 0, sorry. This is line con 0. Okay, all right, so this is line con 0. Okay, it's going to be line VTY 0 to 4. Okay, what's happening? This is config T. Yes, line VTY 0 to line VTY 0 to 4. Yeah, line VTY 0 to 4. Then I want to set a password on this line. So I have password. Then let's see, I want to set a password. Let's see, Cisco 1 2 3 4. All right, so this is the password that I want to set. Then I'll type in login. Login simply means the system should prompt users to enter this password before it gives them access. Okay, so I'll type exit. All right, so that password has been set. Okay, line con 0. Okay, line con 0. So why was it not working before? Line con 0. Yeah, I think I don't know why you can see it's working. So line con 0 will still add password to that line. Password is equal to we'll still give the same password, Cisco 1234. Okay, then we'll still put login. That is, it should prompt user to enter this password before it grants them access. So I'm going to type exit, and I'll move out of the global configuration mode. Then I need to save this configuration. All right, so to save configuration, just type copy running dash config space, then we have startup dash config. Okay, this is the simple command that you use to save your configuration on the system or on a device. So I'm done with this router for now. So let's go to the next router. This is router 2. As usual, I'll type NO. I don't want to save the initial configuration. So we'll go to enable config T configuration terminal. So the first thing we want to do is to rename this switch. To rename this router. So we're going to rename it to router 2. So I'll type hostname, then router underscore 2. Okay. Then of course we need to enter this interface now. To all right. Before we enter that interface, let's set the banner MOTD, right? Space, then we have the AND. Okay, so we need to add the asterisk just to decorate it. You're going to see how it works when we're doing the testing. Okay, so okay, so here I'm going to add up warning. So this is warning. This is a very strict warning. Or you can put something like restricted, something like that. Warning. Here we're using warning. So put only admins can log in. Okay, if you are not an admin, please, if you are not an admin, what should happen? Only admin should log in. If you are not an admin, so we'll just see, please, let's say something like, please keep up. If you're not an admin, please keep up. All right, so we're going to close this with our asterisk. Then we'll close this line, asterisk. We'll close this line with the character we started with. Okay, so we've set this, how easy it is to set the banner. Now let's set the password. We're going to start with the line con 0. Okay, so we're going to have password is Cisco 1234. Then we'll see login, then we can exit from that line. Okay, then let's set the telnet, that is line VTY 0 to 4. They're actually 0 to 15 lines. All right, so out of these 15 lines, we just want to pick from 0 to 4. So that's why I'm restricting it to 0 to 4. So I'll hit enter. Then we need to secure these lines. So we see password, then we assign the same password. But it is not ideal to use the same password for all these security for these accounts, right? You need to have different password for each layer. Okay, so but I'm just using this Cisco. I'm using the same password just to keep things simple, right? So that we'll be able to understand what we are doing. So, but in real life, scenario, it is not advisable to use one password for all these accounts. So, I'm going to be using Cisco 1234. Okay. So, Cisco is S here. Cisco 1234. Then of course we'll prompt them to the system should prompt them to enter this password. So we're going to add login. So we'll now exit. Okay. We're still on the global configuration mode. Now let's take a look at this interface. This is FA0/0 here. So we need to enter that interface to add out that IP address. So we're going to have int FA0/0. Then we'll add up the IP address 192.168.11.1, right? 11.1, then we have 255.255.255.0. that is the default subnet mask. So here we're going to add no shutdown. No shutdown means the interface should turn on, right? So you can see that particular interface is coming up, as you can see on the second router. Now we need to, of course, turn on this interface here and also add this IP address that is assigned to it. So now I'm going to exit the interface. Now I need to enter this interface here. This is serial 0/2/0, right? We need to enter that interface so that we'll assign this 13.3 to it. So I'm going to enter that interface int SE, that is serial, int SE 0/2/0. Okay, then we'll add up the IP address 192.168.13.3. that is this IP here. This is .3. Okay, so I need to add up the 255.255.255.0. that is the subnet mask. Now of course we'll type no shutdown. No shutdown. You can type no shut, it will take it. So no shutdown, of course that interface will be turned on. As you can see, these interfaces are now showing green. Okay, so we need to exit from that interface. Exit. Then we also exit from the global configuration mode. Now let's save our configuration by typing copy running -config, then start up -config. Okay, so this is how easy it is to save. You can see after exiting from the router, it's prompting me to enter that password, right? So we're going to do the testing, but for now let's move to the next router, that is the third router, and we'll finally do our configuration. Now we'll go to the CLI mode. Of course here we're going to type no. We want to do our configuration ourselves. So we're starting with, of course, we'll change the router name. So we need to go to enable. We type in enable config T. Go to the configuration terminal. Then of course we'll start with the host name. Then we'll add router_3. So that is the name of this router. We've renamed the router. You can see router_3. So we need to add the banner message, right? Message of the day. So we're going to have banner MOTD, that is message of the day. We have space, then we'll add the and symbol. We hit enter. All right. So here I just need to add the asterisk. This is not compulsory, but then it's just a way of decorating your banner, that is decorating your text. So so here I'm just going to add something like restricted. Or you can see welcome to router 3. Welcome to router 3. Okay, I'll hit enter. Welcome to router 3. Welcome to router 3. Okay, restricted. Then I'll have something like let's see, admins only. So let's have something like admins only. Okay, so I'll hit enter. Then we need to just add up this asterisk, then we'll close it with the symbol. We hit enter. All right. So now the next thing to do is let's add up our password. We want to secure our router, right? So I'll type in config line con 0, then we have password. Of course, the password we want to use is Cisco 1234. Then we say login to prompt user to enter that login, then we'll exit. Okay, so we'll go to line VTY 0 to 4, then we'll add password to that line. Password, we're using the same Cisco 1234, Cisco 1234, then we'll say login, then we have to exit from that line. Okay, so next is for us to add up IP address on this interface. Of course, the interface is int fa0/0, right? So we're going to have int fa0/0. Then we'll add up IP address 192.168. This is .12.0, right? .12.1. Then we have 255.255.255.0. Okay, so we'll type in no shutdown, and of course that interface will change from down to up. You can see it's turning to green. So what is left here is just this interface here. So we have 14.3 to add up on this interface. So let's check this interface. This is serial 0/2/0, right? So let's go back to router 3, and we need to exit from this interface here. So we'll enter the serial 0/2/0 interface. So to do that, we'll just go to int se0/2/0, right? That is the interface. Now we'll add up the IP address 192.168.14.3. okay, then of course the default subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. I think I added, yeah, let me reduce one. So this is the IP address. Then I'll type in no shutdown. Okay, that interface is up now, so I'll exit. Yes, so yeah, something is wrong here. This interface is supposed to turn on. Okay, maybe we've not assigned dot 14.2 to this other interface. That's why it's not turning green, right? Okay, so we'll do that. So what we need to do is let's exit from here. I'm going to exit from this global configuration mode. Now I'm going to save the configuration, copy running -config. Okay, then we have startup -config. Okay, so that configuration has been saved on that router. Okay, so let's go back to this router so that we'll add up this interface IP address that is here. So this is serial 0/2/1. So I need to come back to this router. This is router 2. You can see when you come back to the router, it will ask you for the password, right? So of course we need to enter the password that we've set for it. Cisco 1234. Okay, you can see I've gotten access to the router, so I just need to type enable. Okay, then I'll move from user mode to global configuration mode by typing config T. Now I want to enter this interface serial 0/2/1 int se0/2/1. Okay, then I need to add up that IP address 192.168.14.2. Then we have 255.255.255.0. If I hit enter now, you notice Okay, so I need to turn up the interface, right? So I'll say no shutdown, no shutdown. You can see that interface is now up, so I'll need to exit. Then after exiting, I need to move back to, we can put something like do right, okay? Do right is just a way of saving from the global configuration mode, right? If I type in do right, of course, it's going to save it's going to update this configuration on the router. I don't need to go back to the privileged exec mode to type copyright config, startup config, right? You can type in this command in the global configuration mode. That is do right, okay? So I think we are done setting up these IP addresses here on our device on the routers. Now for the end devices here, that is our PC, our laptop, we can set up a very simple IP addresses. Let's see, I want to give this guy 10 dots. Let's say this is 10 dots what? Okay, let me drop this. Let me use this. This is going to be 19. Okay, let me just use this. Let's say this is 10 dots. The server, well, let's give server 10 dots, 10.2, while this guy is going to be 10.3. okay, 10.3. so this guy is going to be 10.4. this is going to be 10.5. okay, then the server is going to be 10.2. the router is 10.1. this server is going to be 10.2. okay, now this first system here, no, let's start with the server. This server is going to be 11.2. okay, 11.2. sorry, 11. This is actually 11.2, while this guy is 11.3. the laptop is going to be 11.4, 11.5. yes, something like this. okay, so this other server here, we'll give it 12.2. okay, 12.2 here. Then this PC will take 12.3. laptop will take 12.4. this other PC will take 12.5. okay, so these are the IP addresses we're going to be assigning to these devices, right? So what we want to achieve on this network is to configure static routing. okay, routing is just a way of we want these routers to be able to communicate with each other, right? And we can only achieve that when this router knows the nearest hub that it needs to go to when sending information. All right, so to achieve that, let's start with the router 3. okay, let's start with router 3. okay, now we've already assigned IP addresses to these devices. If I hover on this switch now, on this router now, you notice that we have an IP address assigned to facility 0/0, and the IP address is there and the link is now up. okay, let's start with router 3. now for this router 3 to be able to communicate with this network, first of all, the question here is how many network do we have on this topology? You can see this is one network, this is one network, this is another network, this network is 10.0, another network which is for router 2 is 11.0, then for router 3 is 12.0. these are how many networks now? We have 1, 2, 3. Then at the top here, we have another network here which is 13.0. okay, all these are on different networks. So you can see this is 13.0 while this one is 14.0. so before these devices that are here on this network will be able to communicate with any of these devices here, this information or this packet needs to pass through this default gateway, this router. It is this router that will send that information to the second router. Then the router on the router 2 will now dish out that information to the switch. Then the switch will finally locate any of the system that is connected to it. Then finally, the PC will now receive that information and it will send a reply. Okay, so this is how the message is being moved from one network to another. So this router needs to know the next router that is connected to it. Likewise, this second router needs to know, the interface that the third router is connected to it, and we'll be using the IP routes to, implement this. So we'll start with the router 2. Sorry, we'll start with the router 3. So let's go to the global configuration mode to achieve this. So I'm going to config T, that is configuration terminal. Now, of course, to implement IP routing, the command is very easy. All you need to do is to type in IP. When you're in global configuration mode, I'll just type in IP route. Okay, the command is IP route, then the IP address of the network that you want to communicate with. Like for example, for any device on the third router, that is the 12.0, to be able to communicate with any of these devices that is on 11.0. Okay, so this is the command we need to enter. So we need to type in the network that we want to reach out to. For this router to be able to communicate with router 2, it needs to enter, let's enter the network ID, which is 192.168.10.192.168.11. We're starting with router 2, right? .11.0. That is the network, which is this network here. This network that is here. For this router to be able to communicate with this network, okay, that is what we are seeing here. So let's go. We have IP route 192.168.11.0. Then we have space, then 255.255.255.0. That is the subnet mask of this particular network, right? So for this router to be able to communicate with this network, that is what we're saying here. IP route 192.168.11.0, then the subnet mask, then it needs to pass through the 14.2. For this network, for this router to be able to communicate with this network here, it must pass through this guy, this interface here, which is 192.168.14.2, and that is what we need to put here. So 192.168.14.2. Okay, so that is how easy it is. So let me just explain this again. IP route, we have IP route is just the command, then the network that you want to reach out to, which is in this case it is 11.0. That is why we have 11.0 and the subnet mask. Then the next hop that it needs to get in touch with. For this router to communicate with this network, it needs to pass through the .14 interface, right? So that is why we added .14.2 here. So all I need to do is to press enter. Okay, so we have added this network on this router. So this router is now aware of a network called .11.0. Okay, so now what about if this router or any of these devices that are on the 12th network, that is router 3, they want to communicate with the .10 network? How will they do that? Okay, so now to implement that routing, we need to still use the same command, IP route, then the network ID, in this case is going to be .10.0. Okay, so I'm going to have 192.168.10.0. that is the .0.10 network. So I need to add the default gateway 255.255.255.0. So for this device to be able to communicate, for this router or any of these devices that are here to be able to communicate with this network, it must pass through this interface .13.2, right? So the packet will come from this router to the next router, then this next router will push it to this interface, then from this interface it will drop to .10 network. Okay, that is what we are just saying. So I need to just put in this interface. So it's going to be 192.168.13.0. dot 2, because that is the interface that we need to get to before we get to this network. Okay, so I'll hit enter. Now the last part is the dot 13 network. How will this router know that there is dot 13.0 network? Okay, so we also need to let the router know that there is a network called so there's a network called 192.168.13.0. Okay, so of course we'll add it 255.255.255.0. Then the next hub is going to be, of course, the same dot 13.2. Okay, so we're going to have dot 13.2 here, 192.168.13.2. All right, so I'm going to hit enter. I think I'm done on this router, so I'll press exit. So we can save this now. Copy, running, dash config, startup dash config. So that configuration has been saved on router 3. Okay, so now let's go to router 2 to implement the IP routing. So let's go to router 2. Okay, so this is router 2. We need to provide the password as usual. We're the one that set the password. So this is going to be Cisco 1234. Okay, so I need to go to global configuration mode, enable config T. All right, so now this router 2 is directly connected to router 3 and router 1, right? So this is going to make things easy for us. So we're going to just type in, let's start connecting the dot 10 network, that is this guy here. For this router 2 to be able to communicate with router 1, okay, it needs, for this router 2 to be able to communicate with dot 10 network, that is this interface here, it needs to pass through the dot 13.2 network also. It is this dot 13.2 that will, flow the packets to the dot 10 network. So we can implement that here by just typing IP routes, okay, 192, we add the dot 10 network, 192.168.10.0. So for us to reach the dot 10 network on this router from router 2, let's add the default subnet mask, 255.255.255.0. Then we need the next hub, which is dot 13.2. It's going to be 192.168.13.2. okay, so we must pass through this 13.2 to get to dot 10.0 network. So I'll hit enter. All right, that has been implemented. So this network has been added to this router. Okay, now let's proceed. What if we want to reach out to router 3, that is the dot 12 network? Of course, this dot 13 and dot 14, they are directly connected to this router, right? So there's no need to add them up. So the only network that this router is not aware of is this dot 12.0 network. So we need to implement that. IP routes 192.168.12.0. we are adding this network now so that this router will be aware of it. Then we add up the default subnet mask 255.255.0. then it needs to pass through the dot 14, right? It needs to pass through the dot 14.3 network. Any packets coming from this interface, this router, it must pass through the dot 14.3 network before it gets into this what's it called, the dot 12.0 network. So we need to add 192.168.14.3. then I'll hit enter. Okay, and I need to just type in do right, okay, just to see. You can see from the global configuration mode. Then I'll type exit to exit from that global configuration mode. I think this is okay. We're done with router 2. Now let's go to router 1. Okay, so router 1 is already aware of the dot 13.0 network and is also aware of dot 10.0 1 network, .10.0 network. So this router is already aware of this network and is also aware of this network, but it doesn't know how to get to the .11.0 network and the .12.0 network and also the .14.0 network. So we need to add it up to this router so that it will be aware of them. Now to do that, of course, let's put our password, Cisco 1234. Okay, so this is user mode. We type in enable config T. Now we are currently on the global configuration mode. Now let's start with let's start adding the .11.0 network, this network. If a device from here wants to get to the 11.0 network, how do we reach out to it? That's what we're trying to see. So we use IP routes 192.168.11.0. It means if we want to reach out to 11.0, 255.255.255.0, then we need to pass through an interface, and that interface is going to be .13.3. so it must pass through this interface before it gets to this 11.0 network. That is what, for any interface, any packets coming from router 1, it must pass through the .13.3 interface before it gets to this network. So we need to add 192.168.13.3. okay, then I'll press enter. That network is now added to router 1. So router 1 now knows how to get to .11.0 network, because we've told it that anytime it wants to reach out to .11.0 network, it should pass through the interface of what, 13.3. So let's add the second network, which is the .12.0 network. What if this router wants to reach out to this other network? How does it reach to this point? So we need to let it know that anytime a device here wants to reach out to any device here, it must pass through the interface of this guy. Sorry, it must pass through the interface of 13.3. So we're going to have 13.3. Of course, 13.3, we're going to use 13.3 because 13.3 already knows how to reach out to this, okay? Because we did the configuration on the router 3. So 13.0 already knows how to get to this, but this interface here doesn't know how to get to this 12.0, okay? So we'll go to router 1, then I'll put IP routes 192.168. We are adding .12, right? 12.0, okay, 255.255.0, okay, sorry, 255.0. All right, so the next hub is still going to be what? .13. So this .13.3 already knows how to reach out to 11.0 and it knows how to reach out to 12.0. So I'm going to add 192.168.13.3 and I'll hit enter. So that IP route has been added. That interface has been added. So the router 1 now knows how to reach out to router 3, right? And of course to the 12.0 network. Now we need to add up the .14.0 network, which is this interface. Okay, so this router 1 is not aware of this 14.0 network. So we need to add it up on it to its memory. So we're going to have IP routes 192.168.14.0. Anytime we want to reach out to 14.0 network, 255.255.255.0, we need to follow this interface 192.168.13.3. So 3 knows how to get to .14.0. Okay, so all I need to do is to hit enter, then I'll type do right just to see. Okay guys, I need to type exit, then of course That interface has, this is how easy it is to implement IP routing. So by the grace of God, these devices are expected to communicate with each other. So let's say we have, let's see, ShopRite here. This is ShopRite. This is ShopRite. No, let's use, let's see, IT departments. No, what can I use here? Let's say I want to use schools. So let's say this is Skyline Network, Skyline University. This is Skyline University. This is BUK old sites. Okay. This is another university. Why this network is for Northwest. Okay. So this is Skyline, this is BUK old sites, this is Northwest. Okay, so these are different networks. All right, so let's add up IP addresses so that we'll be able to test this configuration. Okay, so I'm going to add this IP address, Control A, Control C. I'm going to add this IP address to this PC. Where is this PC? Let me click on it. So I'll go to desktop to add IP address. So I'll go to start. I'll just paste the IP address here. And of course, the default gateway is going to be .1, right? 10.1. Then DNS server. DNS server, we've not configured any server yet, but we're giving it .2. Cool. We're going to give it .2. Okay, so this IP address has been configured on this device. So this is .3, while this one is this device is going to take .4. Okay, default gateway is going to always be .1. Then DNS server, we're giving it .2. Okay, so let's go with the last PC. So add, this is .5. Default gateway is .4, sorry, .1. Then of course we'll add .2. We're going to assume this is our server. Okay, so next is let's configure the IP addresses for these devices here. So we'll go to desktop, IP address. This is going to be 11.3. So we're going to have 11.3. So the default gateway is going to be 11.1. DNS is going to be 11. Of course 2. So let's say 2. And we're done with this device. Let's go to the laptop. We'll add IP address. This is .what? 4. Okay. Default gateway .1. Then we'll add .2. .2. Okay, we'll close this. So this is .5. Default gateway .1. So this is .2. Alright, for the server we can configure this. Of course we said this is .2. Default gateway is .1. Then of course this is the server, we'll give it .2, and we're done with that. So this is going to be what is this? 12 dot, this is going to be 12.3. Okay, 12.1 as the default gateway, 12.2 for the DNS server. Okay, now let's go DNS. This is .4. Default gateway .1 for the server, DNS server .2. So we move to the last PC here. Okay, this is dot 5 default gateway dot 1 DNS dot 2. Okay, then for the server we need to add dot 2 to it. The default gateway will set it of course to dot 1. Then the DNS server is going to be dot 2. Okay, so I think for the server here I've not set the IP, so we need to quickly set the IP here. Dot this is dot 10 dot 2. Okay, default gateway of course dot 10.1, then the DNS server of course dot 10.2. So I'm going to okay, let's configure this server, this DNS server, right? So I'll go to services, under services, click on DNS, but then we don't have web server, right, to configure this DNS. So you can see it's up, so we'll just leave this for now. Okay, I think there's a video that I did on, how to configure web server, DNS servers. You can, check it out. Maybe description of this video, you'll be able to see that. Okay, so let's test our configuration to see if things will go fine. So what I'm going to do is I'll use this laptop. I'll go to this laptop and I'll go to the command prompt here. You can see we have command prompt. So I'm using this laptop to ping this router. Okay, so to ping, of course, you just type in ping, then the IP address 192.168.10.1. Okay, so as you can see, we are getting a reply. We're trying to ping this router using this laptop, right? So as you can see, it was successful. Okay, so you can see how many packets sent: 4 packets sent, 4 packets received, 0 packet lost, and of course 0% lost. So it means everything is good. Now let's try to see if we can ping this 13.2 interface here. So I'm going to type in ping 192.168. We have 13.2. Okay, so as you can see, we also got a reply. It means everything went fine. 4 packets was sent and 4 was received, 0 lost, right? So everything is still fine. Okay, let's try to see if we can ping. We're using, where's that laptop? Oh, okay, let me close all this so that we'll focus on, yes, so this is the PC we're using. So let's say we are pinging from the 10th network, the 10 network. We're trying to ping, let's try to ping a device here. Let's try to ping 11.3. okay, so let's see. I'm going to have ping 192.168.11.3. okay, so if I hit enter, okay, let's see. Request timeout. Oh, yeah, so you can see it was successful. For the first time we got 1 request timeout, then it's now it started pinging. Okay, so you can see our configuration was fine. Now we sent 4 packets, 3 received and 1 lost, right? So if I redo this now, if I hit enter, you see that we're going to get the 4 packets sent and 4 packets will be received. So it means the configuration was successful, like everything went fine. What I'm going to do here is let's test our connections, right? We want to try to send packets. Okay, I'm going to send a packet from this PC to this laptop. Okay, that is 1. Then I'll also send a packet from this device here to, let's see, the router. Okay, so I'll go to simulations under here to test our connection. So I'll go to simulations and I'll click on play. So you can see these messages are moving, the packets are moving from the device to the switch. Then the switch will direct them to the router because it will check on its memory to see where the location of the IP address is. So it will direct it to the default gateway. The default gateway will look at the next hub where this message is expected to go to. Then it will forward it to the second router, which is router 2. Then router 2 will forward it to the switch. All right, so as you can see, it knows that it is the router, sorry, it is the server that message was meant for. Then it will send it to the router, sorry, the server. Then the server will receive and also send a reply. So as you can see, it's sending back the reply to the nearest, to the router that sent that info. Then the router will forward it to the network, it will forward it to the switch, then the switch will send it back. So as you can see, this is how easy it is to implement IP routing. Okay, so what we can do here is, let's close this. Let me pause. I'm going to close this. Now let me just color this to differentiate our network. So I'm going to select green. Sorry, let me go with fill. Then I'll click on select color. Let me pick red here. And I'll click on OK. So I'm going to highlight this. This is skyline. Okay, this is skyline. Then we're going to have a different color here. Okay, so I'm going to have, this is BUK, right? All right, so let's pick a different color for this guy. So I'm going to have for northwest. So I'll drop this tool. So I can highlight this. Let me zoom. Let me highlight everything and maybe, sorry. So let me highlight everything. I'll bring it down and I want to type something like IP IP routing, configuration. That is also the title. IP routing. You can put something like this. You can zoom. Okay, so this is how easy it is to implement, static IP routing, right? So let's, sorry, yes. So guys, this is how easy it is to get this done. Okay, so in case you have any question, you have any doubts, you can leave it on the comment section below and I'll be super happy to take care of your questions and challenges. All right, so